Hey, my name is Denny Oliveira, and I will be doing my presentation on disaster management in Chile. So, the history and rationale behind Chile's disaster management plan is that Chile is historically known as a land of contrasting beauty with valleys, mountains, and volcanoes. These sites can be accredited to Chile being in the Pacific Ring of Fire and at the intersection of three tectonic plates: the Nazca Plate, the South American Plate, and the Antarctic Plate. While yes, these mountains are beautiful to look at, these environmental factors make Chile a generally dangerous place to live in, with its active earthquakes and active volcanoes. To continue, their first disaster management plan that was implemented occurred after the Valdivia earthquake on May 22nd, 1960. The Valdivia earthquake was the most powerful earthquake in recorded history with a magnitude of 9.5. The Valdivia earthquake left 2 million people homeless, injured at least 3,000, and killed approximately 1,600 people. The economic damage totaled to 550 million, which adjusted with inflation is 4.8 billion. After the Valdivia earthquake of 1960, the then president of Chile, Mr. Jorge Alessandri, formed a committee to address the multiple disaster demands created by the incident. The committee continued to operate and in 1974 acquired legal status as a part of the government. So the implementation patterns of Chile is that Chile has a top-down approach to disaster management. The National Plan of Civil Protection is part of the Ministry of Interior of National Government, Rojas. The risk the national plan attempts to alleviate is defined broadly and includes together with the usual categories such as tsunamis and volcanic eruptions, the problems of delinquency, traffic accidents, drug addiction, and terrorism. The national plan reproduces the fundamental structure of the organization at all four levels of government, to include the municipalities, the provinces, the intendencia or regional level of governance, and the national level. To continue further, according to the national plan, the national directorate is part of the Ministry of Interior at the national level with participation of the President of the Republic. At the other extreme, the governor of the province is the top political official at the municipal level. There are also provincial director of civil protection and emergencies, as well as a provincial committee of civil protection and emergencies in which the police, carabineros, which are the National Guards, firemen, health officials, municipal mayors, and local volunteers participate. So the disaster hazards that are very common in Chile and how they plan against them are earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, floods, avalanches, forest, and urban fires. Due to the natures of these disasters being so unpredictable, Chile over time has developed a system to be able to somewhat anticipate earthquake hazards through establishing instruments that detect seismic code throughout the country. On top of that, due to the frequency of earthquakes, public awareness and education is key to their planning, so there is an emphasis of practicing evacuation measures. According to Dr. Sergio Barrientos, the director of the National Seismological Center in Santiago, we learn something every time there is a large earthquake and something fails. For instance, in the last earthquake in 2010, some buildings were severely damaged, some of them collapsed. So, a new study on how soils should be classified with regard to their response has been one major difference in the updated building code. The participants of Chile's disaster management plan includes directorates or responding entities that, according to plan, are composed of members of society, a committee of people with technical know-how in emergency operations, and a committee of civil protection. Potential obstacles that affect disaster management could be complacency due to how common disasters are in Chile. This could potentially lead to less civilian participation in the efforts to mitigate the effects of a disaster. Prioritization of economic and political issues rather than issues concerning disaster management, and national culture defines the disasters as inevitable acts of God, removing responsibility from the government. How disasters shape disaster management planning and policy today is that one example is Chile's disaster management plan being executed during an earthquake that hit coastal Chile in 2015. While in many other developing countries there will be a considerable amount of damage and deaths, however, it seems that many Chileans escaped this disaster unscathed. 13 people died in a 8.4 Richter scale earthquake. In comparison, thousands died from a weaker earthquake in Nepal during that time. The reasons why Chile left the powerful earthquake unscathed. One, Chile established rigorous building codes that were specifically prepared for earthquakes and tsunamis. Two, exercises and simulations of evacuations are constantly practiced. They practice 6 or 7 evacuations of entire regions in preparation for disasters. Three, government communication networks saw a massive upgrade so that regional officials could communicate with one another in order to call for a warning or evacuation in a timely manner. So this is the end of my presentation, and these are my references. Thank you so much for listening.